Regal Movie Masters. Unlimited.
This is the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited podcast where we indiscriminately watch every goddamn movie that comes out at the local theaters. And I don't know if any week has been truer than this. We're staring down the barrel of 6 flicks for you. You got Locked and Loaded. Insert gun sounds here. Your movie masters are Justine.
Hi.
Brent.
Hello.
Dylan.
What's up?
And I'm Colin. We do have a email you can reach us at. moviemasters760@gmail.com for any of your questions or inquiries. We'd love to read them on the air and chat it up with you. So hit the old email. Again, that email is moviemasters760@gmail.com. Movie Masters plural. We also have an Instagram. If you haven't heard of this crazy thing, it's Official Movie Masters. I'm chomping at the bit. Dylan, cue me up. Is it champing or chomping?
Champing.
I'm not.
Yeah.
No.
No, you chomp.
Not
Don't.
equestrian, are we?
I know it doesn't make any sense.
Dylan, what are we talking about?
We got Marvels, the new one in the MCU world. Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. However, unintended consequences see her shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe. When her duties send her to the anomalous, oh my God, I don't know what the fuck.
Why don't you read these beforehand?
I wrote it down.
I know you wrote it down. It's what I
When
said.
her
I said,
duties send her to an anomalous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary, her powers become entangled with 2 other superheroes to form the Marvels. Features Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau, Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, Zawe Ashton
just keeps going.
as Darbin, and directed by Nia DaCosta, who did the last Candyman movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good pull. So we don't need to tell you about this movie. We know you saw it. The box office numbers don't lie. Every person in the world went to see this movie.
At least a couple times, right?
Fighting through the crowds, we were able to elbow people out of our way and see this. No, I'm joking. If you haven't heard, this one is. I hear more about how bad this movie is doing at the box office and whether anyone liked it or not. Like I haven't heard an opinion about this film. I've only heard like it's over for Marvel.
I think you have to actually see it. This is funny. There was actually, like, as I was pulling in the parking lot, an actual tumbleweed was in the parking lot. And you know, I went in agnostic. I was like, hey, maybe it'll be good. But yeah, that was it's just funny seeing an actual tumbleweed.
Yeah, I did like the movie. I am a guy who likes comic book movies still. You know, I think I was thinking about this. Like, if I had to give advice on how to pace yourself with these comic book movies, it's just not to put that much importance on them because I've been able to keep up my interest in these films for this long.
You're talking about as a viewer, don't put it
yeah,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I think the people who are really like upset at just the current state of these movies are people that were like really hanging their hats on them. But it's like you just go to the theaters, you watch them once, you bank it, and you move on. You know,
that's your Spider-Man 3 approach, if I recall.
Just, if you don't need to watch it at home or whatever, I don't know. But I still like these movies as someone who still likes these movies and fully acknowledges that they're silly or whatever. I found this one to be like competent. I got it at like a better than Ant-Man 2, not as good as The Flash, better than Blue Beetle, something in that range as far as superhero movies that came out this year. Do you guys, what's your guys' power ranking? Where do you sit this one?
Was that all the ones that came out?
Oh no, there was more. There was, I mean, Guardians 3, I think is
right.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's like the genuinely good one. But that might be the only. There was the Spider-Verse.
No.
That one it fell off from the first one for sure.
Yeah, I wish I could remember The Flash as well. It's kind of been a little too long. I remember liking it, but I like this one.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the last Thor movie, kind of. It's like colorful space stuff happens, Earth stuff happens. It's much funnier than we've seen in a while. The Flash is not funny.
Well, people the people disparage the Marvel films for being too funny, too quippy, and it gets in the way of the serious tone of Captain Marvel. But
I like that she is like kind of the way that they fixed Barry Allen a little bit in The Flash versus when he was in Justice League.
okay, like made some tweaks to the personality of the character on screen.
Yeah, that's kind of how Captain Marvel is here because she is straight up unlikable.
Yeah, they toned down the girl boss factor a little.
Yeah, a little bit. And she's not really the star of it, so I'm glad about that. Yeah.
And yeah, I thought it. I mean, like this is okay. I'm going to tell you here. This is the way you should look at these movies. The fighting was fun, because the gimmick this time is every time everyone uses their powers, it switches places with them. So they all have to kind of get in one place, and they do this coordination thing. And so there's some fun fight sequences that have a little bit more spice on them than like your pure bland power level fights. If I may bring up another critique bandied against these Marvel movies is they just introduce villains and kill them. And I swear, as soon as I saw this lady pick up like the power band, and she's like, "I'm the evil guy in this movie," I'm like, "Oh, she's gone. We're never hearing from this one again." And I don't even know if we get a Red Skull cameo style. It's just like, all right, well, and it's pretty. This is a bog standard one. I think it kind of hits on the regular beats that these movies have. I do like in these films where they go to see new places and it gets a little Star Trek-y, I guess, or, the cosmic comics are always the same way, where it's like you go to a new planet and here's their wacky thing they got. And they show up to this planet where everyone sings. That's fun. Mm-hmm. I think, Guardians 3 did it better, and there was a little bit more spectacle to the new locations that they went to. This one, everything about this movie feels very much like checking a box. Like, yes, a character arc was had. Yes, lighthearted jokes were had. Yes, the characters grew and became friends at the end. Like, check, check, check. Down to like my grievance with these movies, which is the post-credit scenes that are basically where the more interesting movie should have started. Like, start there, and then maybe we'll get some fucking people in the seats.
This is not a more interesting post-credit. There wasn't even a post-credit scene.
Stop it. Okay, mid-credits then.
There's a cat meowing.
That one.
Come on.
That's what he's saying. He's like, if you start the movie with a cat meowing.
No, you start with Monica Rambeau wakes up in an alternate universe because she sacrifices herself for something. And in the alternate universe, who is there to rescue her and wake her but Kelsey Grammer's Beast?
Oh, yeah, but that's a totally different movie.
Yeah, I know, but fucking...
I will say
maybe a
this,
crazier
though.
movie.
That's actually one of the things I did like about this movie is it seemed to take place in one universe and wasn't the multiverse.
Right.
So that gets some credit because I felt that was starting to wear thin.
Yeah, they're not bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
I think what defines like the kind of filler movies, or when I say filler, I think it's really like an issue of stakes, and that's why like Endgame, I think for a lot of people was the be all end all because it was the whole fate of the universe and was built up forever. And the Avengers movies tend to have, worldwide threats. Whereas this one was like, Captain Marvel, you accidentally turned off the sun when you turned off that computer thing. And then she's like, "Oh, my bad." And then she started it up.
Let me fix that.
And if we really were to map out the plot, like that's what happens. The stakes aren't too crazy on this one, which kind of makes it underwhelming. But I don't know. If you read enough comics, it's like most of it's like that. Just
it sets up a lot of stuff. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, with the kids, that I don't care. I could not care less about that.
You're not showing up for Young Avengers?
I don't care. Not one, with the exception of her name
Kamala Khan.
Yeah, she's funny and I like her.
Right.
But the other kids, I don't care.
Don't tell Dylan that you're disrespecting Haley Steinfeld like that. He will.
Steinfeld?
Yeah, it's Steinfeld. Seinfeld is a
different thing.
Yeah.
Underground comic?
Different person.
Don't tell Dylan that you're offending.
No. It would be really funny if she didn't do it because she even says like, "I'm too old for this."
In the movie or IRL?
Yeah, in the movie.
Oh.
In the movie.
There's Hulk's son. He doesn't. I don't think we've seen him yet, but Hulk's son.
Oh, they
could show up.
mentioned that they mentioned.
I don't think they did, but in the comic books, there's Hulk's in the Young
he
Avengers.
would need to have a movie by now
there's
for
Hulk's
him to
son.
be involved.
Thor's little kid. You're not riding for Thor's little kid. I don't know. This is, I guess, also the reason everyone hates these movies, which is that we're predicting a film that doesn't exist yet and who's going to be in it, rather than actually talking about this movie.
For all these this label is like a filler movie, I am so glad to see a movie that just begins, there's a middle, and there's an end.
Self-contained.
Yeah,
Although I did, along with the gripes about Marvel dying and blah 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 blah. The other one I tend to see is, what was it? Oh, that you need to watch
TV shows,
Disney Plus stuff
right,
to understand this movie. I was like, I didn't watch Miss Marvel, and I was fine.
Yeah, they set it up enough. There's a little girl, and she's in Jersey, and she has powers, and she likes.
I just accepted
Captain
it. I was
Marvel.
like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think you really need to get in the reeds with these things.
Nah.
They make them for babies, these are for kids. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, again, don't get too invested in these films one way or the other.
Yeah.
But they also do say like the Skrull have to go live somewhere else.
Right.
And then of course Monica Rambeau getting stuck. Captain Marvel is around now.
Yeah.
And then you get Kamala like making a team. So there's stuff set up, but again, it's like it's its own thing, and I'm glad that it's not like stops in the middle of a sentence, needs to be picked up by a completely different title, and character to know what's going to happen next. That I think is a thing that really drives me crazy. Like a lot of the DC comics where it's like you won't know what's happening unless you're reading like 3 other titles.
Yeah, you need Batman, Detective, and
for the same storyline.
The Adventures of Harley and Ivy. Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul one shot.
But I don't know if that's what makes the movies work, is when they're all interconnected. That was another box checked, is the Valkyrie shows up to help out the Skrull. So it's like, okay, you are acknowledging you're in the universe. Good job. Mission accomplished, box checked. And by the way, I should note, like on this, the flopping of the movie or whatever, it's like no one should care about a Ms. Marvel movie. There's no reason why. Like, this is not an A-tier character. This isn't Superman or Batman or Wolverine or Spider-Man or like anyone big like that. These Marvel freaks, they gambled on some wacky stuff and came out ahead so many times. Yeah, this is what a Captain Marvel movie should be, which is like a couple people watching it, I guess. There should never be like, well, yeah, of course we're going to put $270 million into this movie because that's the fan base for Captain Marvel, the comic book. No, you do that with Batman, you do that with Superman, and a couple others. Just because you got lucky this many times, you shouldn't keep getting lucky on these. This is not a B team character. This is a C team character. This is a character that only exists for legalese purposes. Like, I'll leave it to you guys to read the Wikipedia article, but they only use this character to retain the rights of it because they wrestled it away from Shazam. Kelly Sue DeConnick, who I did like to see in the credits. I always like when like actual comic people have an in with these movies. She made Carol Danvers like her project in the comics and built a lot of this lore and universe stuff, but like that's post 2000. These aren't like legacy stories they're building on here. So yeah, I think if you want money and stuff, maybe stick to those big characters that have toys that kids played with.
Well, or like you were talking about last time, just spend less, still make a profit, but don't go all crazy.
I was just shocked to see the 270 number because I didn't understand where it all went.
Has that they all, and again, I don't know if this is another box checked or not, but like the conclusion is just another CGI smear, just completely like anticlimactic. I mean, it's supposed to be big and everything, but you're watching just smears of video game cut screens on screen, and it's like, we're still doing this, huh? We've learned nothing.
Wait, what was the big? They fight her.
Yeah, they fight the lady, but then she turns into like a power thing, and the Monica she bursts a hole in the
universe.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's not like a smeary fight scene like there is in like Wonder Woman or something like that, where you can't tell what's going on.
It's not a fight scene, but she does go out and she blows up and she turns into cosmic energy, and then Monica Rambeau has to go out and protect it, and they have to blast their cosmic energy. There's a good 3 to 5 minutes after they actually kill the lady, or no, after she transmutes herself. I don't know, bro. They spent half of this movie saying the word bangle, and that's the funniest.
It was really funny. I kept thinking it was like a slight speech impediment pronunciation of bangle. So I was like, when's a tiger gonna come?
They say bangle so many times. I wasn't exactly. Ask me exactly what happens, but the lady bursts into a bunch of power, and they have to go after her, and they burst her into cosmic power. Cosmic stuff doesn't translate to the big screen, I don't think. I've never seen that aspect pulled off.
I agree. But I also am like remembering now in the Guardians movies where they do that a whole bunch.
Yeah. Some Thor stuff, maybe.
I mean, yeah, these movies they have a lot. The end, it's like they need to show a big razzle dazzle, and it ends up just being a smear. And
usually
really
another
effective.
box checker is they try to have like really popular songs. I don't remember any of the music.
Well, I got the Beastie Boys song, but that was
that's
in
right. I remember
that was in the
viral.
trailer.
Yeah.
But that was I think James Gunn kind of forced that hand pretty heavy, and so kind of made everyone else have to back off. I think because you can't touch those movies and their song selections. Dylan, I haven't heard from you very much. You got anything to add here?
When Valkyrie showed up, I expected Nebula for some reason. Because she has that planet, right?
Well, they haven't established that per se, but they have established the Valkyries thing, and that's sort of been this like sanctuary for wayward planet people on Earth. So it wasn't totally out of left field.
Oh, I wasn't like, oh shit. I was more like, oh, I don't know. I expected Nebula.
Well,
I guess because she's in space already.
Yeah,
could've
and
worked.
again,
Makes
she has that
sense.
planet full of people.
Though I don't know if I'm planning out these movies, I'm never being like, so the previous movie, like, no, you don't know what these are going to get jumbled up. They don't reveal Nebula has her own planet till
Guardians 3.
which wasn't probably done filming by the time this movie was filming. So I assume,
I guess fair enough.
yeah, they just went with what they've already established.
Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Maybe she was just like, man, I messed up these people's planet. I'm not going to send them to Nebula's world. I'm going to send them somewhere nice.
And listen, I'm such a simple man. I see the people on screen. I know. I clap.
Oh, yeah,
You
no,
know,
we all cheer. We stand
Simple
up,
man.
fist pump.
open mouth, fingers pointing to screen.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
I was stoked.
The Marvels. Are we gonna power up our bangles for this one, or are we gonna let it get assassinated by the Kree? I think this is one that you have to kind of already be in for. You know, this is not going to convert any comic book movie haters. If you like comic book movies, this one's fine. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's pretty in the middle. But I've seen a lot worse, and I like this kind of movie. I'm fine with it. Go see the Marvels, or they'll die. The whole movie industry is going to die. If you don't watch this movie, you got to go see this movie. Dude, don't you want to see the X-Men? Fucking go watch this then, dummy, or they'll never get it. We're not going to get to see the X-Men if you don't watch Marvels. You, personally, listen to this.
It's true. You like Beast? At least he's going to be in it.
One X-Man, the most famous one.
Clearly. Yeah, power him up. Get both bangles if you can. One will do. I like this movie. I really enjoyed it. It's, like I said, it's colorful. I like space. I like the silly stuff. I like Kamala. I don't like Captain Marvel. And Monica Rambeau, I feel like, was underused somehow in this ensemble. She kind of like fell through a
Well,
little.
I mean, there's no reason any of these people should be in a room together other than they tangentially share the name Marvel. Like,
Well, she and Carol Danvers are like family.
yeah, until Carol Danvers became Carol Danvers is a case. If all you know about these people is there's a space cosmonaut who can turn off suns or turn on suns. There's a lady who works in the military who got touched by a witch. And then there's a teenage girl in Jersey. You're not saying, oh, put these three together. This is going to rule. So it's a little on the arbitrary side for the ensemble.
Well, I feel like all the more reason that they should each kind of get,
Some more stuff.
yeah, like, or at least equally. But they kind of they haven't given her that much. I hope that whatever the next movie is, like they tease with her being in the other universe, that she does get something more. because I feel like she's pretty bland right now. But that Star Trek comparison, I think, is really apt. I love Star Trek, and I think this feels a lot like Strange New World. And I'm also curious as to why it costs so much when they can make a show that looks as good as it looks and, is consistently as fun as it is and kind of not spend that much. And this does feel like one of those episodes where like you go to a different planet. She did something she shouldn't have done, and they try to like fix it. It's good. I like it. And I don't think that it's going to convert any, people that hate comic book movies, but I do think this is another one that's like accessible enough to somebody who likes genre film that is not necessarily a comic book movie, like a sci-fi movie or space stuff, and that it's a fun watch.
You know what I'm glad about? I think this is like proof of concept of a Green Lantern movie.
True.
This is
Very
basically
true.
what a Green Lantern movie should be.
Should be.
Pretty easy to
I think you
do.
call it proof of concept, though.
It's just-
I guess that you can make it.
Yes.
Okay.
It can be
Yeah,
made if you just, do the Fortnite
Not that it'll do
skins.
well, but that'll.
Oh no, but it could
Yeah.
be done.
It can be
Yeah.
made. Get yourself $270 million and make it.
I mean, listen, I don't know what backwards world we're living in right now, but there was a time when we lived in a country where Green Lantern was far more prominent of a pop culture
Yes.
figure than
Yes.
Captain Marvel. I believe in some world that's still the case. Put Green Lantern in, make a Green Lantern, hey dudes, make a Green Lantern movie, please. That's it. It's just for me. You don't got to show it
for
to anyone.
you.
You don't got to do you just like, you did the Batgirl movie and then you just turned it off. Do that. But instead of 0 people, let one person see it. Let that person be me. I like Green Lantern. Brent, what do you think?
I think, go ahead and get yourself a bangle, but like, go cheap. Like if you got some extra Dave and Buster's points, get the bangle from there, because it's more than likely you're going to forget your bangle and leave it somewhere and never miss it. So don't go hard on the bangle. But I would like to get on my soapbox. I would like to campaign for American celebrities to not be allowed to make domestic commercials anymore and go back to only doing them in Japan, because the entire time I was looking at Samuel L. Jackson, I was expecting him to sell me One, because he was using the same voice that he uses in the commercials.
His life.
Yeah, but it's like I for whatever reason I get targeted with his ads so much that when I hear his voice, all I can think of is One, and it was hard to really lock into Nick Fury. I don't was his performance good? I can't see the truth in it.
He's phoning it in a little.
Yeah,
but-
Yeah,
he's,
okay.
he's cashing
All right.
checks, but I
Thank
don't
you.
know when he ever really cared, because comic book movies weren't like supposed to be this huge thing when he first got involved in it. So at first he's like, "What am I? I'm a who now? Nick Fury? All right, I'll do that." And then they turn into these big things, but he's already at that point been in 8 movies. So he's like, "Another one of these. Okay, listen, guys, fucking Ultron." Stop him.
I forget
Get
the
out of
line is,
here.
but he turns to the camera and he said something. And I remember turning to you and going, "Well, that's going to get memed." I forget what it was, but it felt phoned in to me. So thank you for the validation.
But I also think it's a little like, this is the silliest one that he's been in, because we just saw him in Secret Wars,
He had to be pretty sick.
where it's
serious,
totally
man.
different.
He was pretty
okay.
silly in the first Captain Marvel, if I recall, but it's pretty hard to recall anything about the first Captain Marvel.
Very
Oh, well,
true.
first Captain Marvel, he was like young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember he was like in the 90s. He
Yeah.
had both eyes.
I felt like he was goofing it up in that one a
A
little.
little bit, but I think that was just,
Yeah, called for.
yeah. Get both bangles. I liked the acting. I thought the acting was great. It was filmed great. It all looked good. I thought it was pleasant.
It was short too.
By Marvel movie standards, this
Oh,
was a
yeah, it was like-
short film.
Was it just 2
It
under?
was under 2.
I remember I was like, hour 50 or something.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I don't know more reason why that 270 is head scratching, but anyways.
I know. Maybe there was a lot on the cutting room floor.
Promotion.
That too.
Do we have any other films to talk about, Dylan?
Well, we have this year's horror movie of the season.
This year's horror movie of the season. Let's
Yeah,
go.
It's A Wonderful Knife. I wrote a little synopsis. Winnie's life is less than wonderful 1 year after saving her town from a psychotic killer on Christmas Eve. When she wishes she was never born, she finds herself magically transported to a nightmarish parallel universe. With the murderous maniac now back, she must team up with a misfit to identify the culprit and get back to her own reality. It has Jane Widdop as Winnie and Jessica McLeod as Bernie. That's the misfit in that description. Justin Long as Henry Walters. Joel McHale as Winnie's dad. And it's directed by Tyler McIntyre. He also did that one movie, Tragedy Girls, which I don't think anyone in this room saw.
No.
Shame.
Did you see it?
But yeah, it had it's Alexandra Shipp. It's Storm from the later X-Men movies.
Right.
And the skinhead girl from Deadpool. I don't remember her name.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're just like, let's kill the kids in our school.
Crazy.
That's like the plot.
All right.
Yeah.
How did you compare? How would you compare that
How do I
one
compare?
to?
Somehow they're two wildly different movies in terms of like, how do I explain it?
Tone or
Everything.
Maybe tone, because like Tragedy Girls isn't seasonal that I remember, but also like it doesn't feel as straight to Netflixy.
you're saying this one does?
Well, compared, I would say It's a Wonderful Knife is more straight to app friendly.
Right.
But I'm not saying it was a bad movie. It's a Wonderful Knife.
It's a Shudder flick, right? So it is basically
yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah.
what I'm saying is It's a Wonderful Knife. It's a great movie. It was wonderful.
That's the full send.
Yeah.
I think I didn't like this movie. I am a certified Grinch. I have a distaste for everything Christmas related, and I'm tired of pretending I don't. And I also don't like teenagers, and this is a teenagery Christmas movie, so it was an uphill struggle for me. I will give it somewhere in the middle, though. They found this place where they were like, it's the last girl kind of idea, right? The last girl trope. They're like, hey, here's a twist. If the title wasn't indicative of this enough, they combine the last girl trope with the wonderful life thing, where you got to wonder if the last girl, quote unquote, never existed, what would happen? And like, basically, the conceit of this film is that the guy gets to keep on killing everyone. So if there's not a last girl to kill the killer just gets to keep killing. And if that last girl gets to come back and see the world that exists with post-Rampage, she would say, no, I'm not having this. And she's going to want to go back. I was like, that's a genuinely interesting concept. Uh-huh. Good job conceptually. But it is a little YA in tone, I guess. It's R-rated, and there's like just enough gore to kind of count. Some close-ups of some slit throats and stuff. It's not totally PG-13 knife stabbings, but it's not committed enough to the idea. It's not like grisly, which I guess is in keeping with kind of the silly tone. And that's my issue when there are these seasonal gimmick movies, because it is like supposed to bring everyone out and be a little goofy. I don't know. I was as soon as they got me, they lost me again, just because of, again, just generally how the movie is, I guess. But I think it's just on my end a distaste for this kind of movie. And by this kind of movie, I mean any kind of movie this qualifies as.
Slasher?
I mean, the lighthearted slasher, yeah. I can deal with like kind of the more grisly ones that take it seriously, or are more adult in theme. But this kind of teen slasher, like the CW tone of slasher, that stuff that started cropping up in the late 90s, I've always kind of had a distaste for. And at least for that tone to kind of continue into the modern era, I can look back at I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it has, some, not nostalgia necessarily, but it's like, hey, look at the hair gel. Look at them making an earnest attempt to pitch to 90s youth culture. That's fun. But that's maybe in 20 years, this will be fun to look back at in the same reason. But I don't know. There's not much for me in that regard.
Did you like the Moon Knight as the slasher?
It was, the mask thing that he was wearing is like a Christmas ornament. And I thought that was pretty clever. Like kind of pearl, not quite white, but a little pearl and reflective. He looked good, but it's also like make a slasher guy, make him look cool. Make a slasher guy that looks cool. And then you have to design that. Whereas like, the icons, they were never really designed as that. They was just accidentally they take on these iconic
Yeah.
roles, or after a couple movies they develop it. When they're like built from the ground up to be that kind of character, it's a little less interesting to me, I guess. But I don't think it's a movie problem. I'm taking myself out of this. I know that I'm just a certified Grinch.
I think the pearl color was cool because it obviously contrasts blood
Right,
fantastically.
right.
That was smart on their part. I think where it lost you is they would get a little bit of momentum and then they'd pad it with a lot of nonsense, and it'd just be
Right.
kind of like, all right. I guess you got to make it 90 minutes or approximately that. So
Yeah, because you have
throw
to,
that in.
the way these movies work is you have to see how their life would turn out. So you do have to do two things. And again, just on the interesting level, at first I was like, man, this is moving really fast, because basically they give you an entire arc of a slasher movie in like 20, 30 minutes until, the Wonderful Life gimmick kicks in.
Just under 30, I'd
So I was
say.
like, man, you guys are tearing through this. Like the body count is going fast. The killer's revealed. Like, boom, okay, credits. But that's so that they can set up the rest of the flick. And then by the end, the climax of it, there's like mind control involved. I feel like they kind of lost the plot a little bit. But
Oh, yeah, for sure.
it got way too involved.
I was
for this
just so
sort of
tickled
thing.
by Justin Long that I was fine through most of it. You
Right.
know, just like he's just playing this absurd dude, and I love
Yeah.
it. I think it might have been prosthetic teeth or something. There was something that was just off.
Yeah. So I feel like Joel McHale was also cashing a check on this one. He was, "God, this is my life. This is who I am."
What's he doing?
This.
Is there a Community reboot?
I think a movie or something they're going for, but either way.
Justin Long's been working.
Yeah, but I think Joel
Yeah.
McHale been twiddling his damn thumbs.
I don't know. I like to see him. I like to see him on screen. I'm
I think he
glad
had to
he's
let
still
his-
doing stuff.
He had to let his hair plugs grow in.
I did not. I thought, like I'm sure a lot of people, that this title was just, trying to be cute. I had no idea that it was actually based on It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
And I did not know that until she's like on the bridge. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
Oh, because of the
She's-
movie.
yeah, oh, I get it. And knowing that, I think this movie's really interesting.
Okay.
Because if you think about it as a remake, let's say, of It's a Wonderful Life,
Right.
just randomly also the thing that has changed is that, there's people being killed also.
Right.
Because there's still the town going, bad.
Right.
And some guy buying up all the stuff and all her family's like falling apart. But it's because of some murders. It's kind of a weird take on that. So I don't mind that they kind of spend a while on like the character more than like the killing and
Right.
stuff. I found that to be really refreshing because I was going into this expecting it to be like I assume what Thanksgiving is going to be.
Right.
Or like,
Well, Violent Night was kind of that.
yeah, but that
from last year.
again had a weird twist where
The Home Alone situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that the guy that's good is a Santa.
Oh, yeah.
That's
There's
weird.
magic.
Yeah, like if Violent Night was a killer Santa, that would be what I would
Well,
expect.
it'll be Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever like Winnie the Pooh is.
Right.
That's exactly the caliber of movie I was expecting. And so for it to be this, I was like, oh, okay. That's just kind of a weird take on it, but I'm into it. And it was like lighthearted enough where you're just kind of watching and there's murders, but you kind of also can be like, these don't count. They're not her reality.
Right.
They
So
hopped
when she
universe.
goes back, like,
Multiverses.
it's kind of weird that she does still have friends that are dead in the real world.
I know.
But it's also strange that her brother dies, and that's what ruins the whole town.
In the world where she was never born.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's kind of a weird thing. But I liked it. There's no like crazy stuff that goes on. The mind control thing made no sense. I
Right.
agree that it fell apart at the end, and I wonder if they had some other thing they were gonna do. But then I was like, I also can't remember the end of It's a Wonderful
Yeah, it was
Life.
it was making me wonder. I was like, did I miss something in It's a Wonderful Life about the mind control zombie thing?
I
It's
don't
kind
know
of
what
weird.
happens.
Mean One's still on top for you.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to come out on DVD next month.
Get the physical release.
Yeah.
I have to admit, my dumb moment watching this, it was not realizing that Back to the Future 2 is basically It's a Wonderful Life. Like, because I was like, man, this is really heavy Back to the Future 2 vibes. Like, oh, God damn it. Is that what this fucking movie I've been watching since I was a kid this whole time was not subtly in any way, shape, or form telling me that it's just a wonderful life, a time travel themed
Reference,
version
yeah.
of it. Like, God damn it, I am not smart.
See, it's a good idea. You
Yeah,
can
no.
branch off a lot from it. And I thought this was like it was a fine way to do it. I do agree that it feels a little Netflixy, but I also feel like this movie and the other Zoe are basically the same.
Got the others.
Other Zoe.
Oh, the rom-com one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Same feeling.
But this is what for horror.
Yeah.
All right. So It's a Wonderful Knife. All right, should someone take a stab and watch this movie? or would you rather not be born than ever see this film? I think I would rather not be born. I got to be honest. It was it's pretty much just a snooze fest for me, though I will admit my personal biases in that regard. Take a stab?
Take a stab. Yeah. Take a stab. It won't matter. And it's not your real universe anyway. I thought it was fine. It is, you know what? Just as long as in Goosebumps, it feels Goosebumpsy.
Good call.
For sure. If there wasn't as much blood and people were just dying and getting like stabbed.
And not smoking crack.
Yeah, not smoking crack. Then,
about
it would be passively Goosebumpsy. So it's fine.
Take a stab if you're going with other people. Don't be the guy that watches this alone. I mean, maybe, but try not to. I think it's funnier when you're around people, and I don't know. Justin Long, like if he wasn't in the movie, I might have a more vicious take on it. But I was just laughing the entire time, just looking at him. Because, yeah, he's been working harder than maybe Nicolas Cage this year. So I'm just like, why is he in this? But yeah, to go from being in like probably one of the best horror movies of the past year to maybe one of the worst is intriguing to me. Like Justine says, this is an intriguing movie. It's not necessarily a good one. I think I rated it like somewhere right down the middle, like a 2.5 out of 5 or something like that, because it's not totally devoid of entertainment value. I was entertained, but I don't see myself going back to it. So yeah, somewhere in the middle.
I'd take a stab at it. Go ahead and watch it. Watch it by yourself or with people. Doesn't matter. Watch it. Go ahead on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Alone.
Do you see yourself? Okay,
When
so
you're
like
alone on
people watch It's a Wonderful Life. A lot of people, at least historically, would watch it every year around Christmas time.
Sure.
Do you think you would do that for this movie?
I don't watch any movie
Yeah.
except for maybe A Christmas Story that's on TBS.
I'm going to pull your card on that one. There's one movie we watch every Christmas.
Oh, that's not a movie though. That's a special. That's a TV hour-long special. It's not a movie.
Shout out to Rhapsody Street Kids.
If you have not seen this.
Yeah, that went a different direction.
Y'all,
I guess we've been watching that Wayne's Brothers cartoon Christmas thing.
My God.
What do they call that one?
Fuck.
It's like a goofy name.
It's stupid because I keep thinking of Beat Kids,
Is it-
and I just know that's from,
from Wonder Shows.
It's a twist on like a borough of New York. It's like instead of the Bronx, it's like the Bonks or something like that.
What?
I swear.
Damn it.
You got this.
Not Boo Crew.
It's Boo Crew.
Is it Boo? Yeah, the Boo Crew.
Okay.
We watched the
From Boo York City. That's
Yeah,
where I was-
yeah, the Boo Crew Christmas. We watched that, but I think that's also just a special.
Well, either way. There's
But
some traditions
I guess
we
you
honor.
combine like a double feature that is technically a movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, fine. Technically, there's something I watch every year on Christmas Day.
I'm serious about Rhapsody Street Kids.
Oh yeah, no, that's a fine classic. Anyway, will not watch this on Christmas. I'd probably only watch it if someone threw it on, and I would watch it just to see what I remember. Anyway, go ahead and watch this. Give it a stab on Christmas Day by yourself.
Definitely by yourself.
Yeah,
Make sure you're alone on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
100%.
yeah. Wake up at like 3 a.m. when no one else is awake, and then put it on.
What's next, Dylan? What do we got?
We got Radical. 6th grade students at Jose Urbina Lopez Elementary are among the worst performing students in Mexico, with the world being one of violence and hardship, not possibility. It might seem like a dead end, but it's the perfect place for a new teacher, Sergio Juarez, to try something different. I did not see this movie, folks. I had to make that up on the spot from just remembering the trailer I saw. It has Fuck it. Go ahead. Sorry. I'm not going to be able to read it either.
Who's the director?
Christopher Zala.
Okay.
He did a bunch of Law and Order episodes.
All right. Respect. Is it just me and Justine on this one?
Yeah,
All right.
I couldn't get around
This
it.
this came out a couple weeks ago, and it's like kind of doing well.
Yeah.
The showing we had like some people in it, and it's a pretty. I have a theory about foreign films, which I'm working, or films in a foreign language. I think you're more prone to like them because of the investment you put in. Like if you're sitting around and reading the subtitles, I think you get a little bump, and you have to focus more. And
I think that's big.
like, I don't know if I've seen well, granted, we don't get like bad foreign movies over here. I don't think like you have to pass some kind of bar in terms of quality. I don't think we're getting like Argentina's It's a Wonderful Knife. I think you have to have some exceptional quality to get distributed in America.
They're usually like festival winners.
But I like most of them we watch, and I think a little bit of that is the effort you have to put into reading the subtitles and everything. But this is my favorite kind of movie, which is a movie. If you're familiar with movies and you like the way they are, you're like this. I have queued this up. I've thought about this. We don't usually go multimedia on here, but I'm going to play you a theme that's going to sound very familiar. I'll fast forward it a little bit. When you hear but when you hear that kind of like xylophone music in a movie, you're watching a movie, baby. And this is like a movie where like, a determined teacher, who's a visionary, and he's at this school that's like way underprivileged in a real poor city in Mexico. And it's like, crime and desperation and all that. And he's got to reach these kids, and he figures it out slowly. And, you've seen this kind of movie a lot of times in a lot of different configurations, but I don't know if it's the fact that the backdrop is Mexico that makes it more, I don't know, engaging or believable, or maybe there's just a cultural divide. Like if you see the classic model, white lady goes into urban school and is like, Shakespeare was the first rapper. You watch that as an American, you're like, this is fucking corny. Yeah. But these are middle school kids too, so it's not like you have to believe that they're hardened gangsters or anything at this point, though some of them are involved in that kind of world because of the nature of the environment they're in. But yeah, it's that kind of story, but without the cheesy baggage that comes along with telling that kind of story. And the teacher's really cool. The main character is cool. And something that really stuck out to me of how they did it different is that the principal, like, because the way this goes, the generic ass version of this movie goes down is like the teacher is doing this experimental kind of stuff and engaging the kids, and the kids are all into it. And then the principal comes in and goes, "What's going on in my classroom? You're supposed to be teaching math." And then he goes, "But they are learning. They're learning about what matters to them." And then, they fire him, and then blah, blah, blah. But the principal is like, "Oh, cool. You're actually getting through to these guys? That's awesome. How can I help?" There's some pushback at first, but he's like, goes along with it kind of. That's very refreshing to see, like some kind of humanity in this. They do get into like, eventually the bureaucrats step in, and there's standardized testing issues that come up, which is all, I guess that black cloud has to come in from somewhere, but it's still nice that it comes in from an external source instead of, the school itself. And all the kids do, and again, maybe this is just like a language divide. Maybe if they were speaking English, it'd be like they're forcing it. But because I don't understand what they're saying, I'm like, these kids are fucking delivering. They are performing, like, for being, middle schoolers, sixth graders or whatever. They're really doing their job,
Mm-hmm. The kids do a good job of seeming like intelligent kids,
right,
which
right.
is what they are in the movie. Like, people just don't know because they haven't been guided properly, I guess. Yeah, this is a movie.
Yeah.
It feels like you're going to be satisfied with the ending. The crazy thing is, it's a real story.
Boom, baby.
Yeah, so this really happened. This guy really did go to this school where these kids had the lowest scores, and then turned it around, and they had like the highest scores, or among the highest for sure. And then one of the girls who was like especially gifted that the teacher noticed and kind of encouraged to follow her dreams, ended up being the top scorer in all of Mexico, and like she got all these grants and stuff to go continue learning and things, and you can read about her. She wants to be like an astronaut, and that'll be really cool for her to be able to do that. It's also sad, the way
Right.
that these movies can go, but I think it's just, I guess the difference between it being like in Mexico and being somewhere in the States is there's a bar in the States that you expect. If kids are going to public school, they may have really old books.
Right.
They may be not paying attention. Their teacher might not be paying attention to them.
There's a looming threat of gang life, like in the very tucked away in the corner.
Yeah, this is like these kids, you feel and you see around them that it's like they don't care about this stuff really, because no one really cares about them, because they will never get out of this town. It is just so bleak and so crappy, and their lives are so like already on their paths because of this like really impoverished place they're in, that you really do feel like this is a desperate, I guess, chance that this teacher is taking, because he hates to see it, hates
Right.
to see these conditions, and believes that through learning stuff, even if you don't get out of that socioeconomic situation, that you can kind of elevate your mind, I guess. And I was surprised at the end of this movie. I was like kind of stunned, where I was like, this is a movie.
Right.
This really hit me the way that films should hit you.
Cinema. It's inspiring.
That's one of those, like at the end of Landscape with Invisible Hand.
Right.
But I'm like, this is why film is art.
Right.
Not just the artistic, like visually cool stuff that, some cinematographers or directors can do, but in terms of how they can make you feel and how
Right.
they can convey things that they want you to feel. And I was really impressed by it. I was so glad. Like, I was so proud of them for making this movie. I felt really like, I'm not like choked up because I was sad, but like, man, I hope they really are happy with what they did.
I mean, as a cynical, jaded, embittered, irony-drenched, man of my age, for me to be like moved by a movie is very rare. You have to have the skills to pay the bills ultimately, and like, I don't have the exact scientific breakdown on how they figured it out, how to do it with this one. It's a, dare I say, tired trope, but just executed so well. It's effective. It's absolutely hats off to them. And nice to see a movie that is like just has a level of quality to it, can be seen by the masses. Your grandma can watch this and appreciate it, but it's not dumb.
Yeah.
It's still a level of craft, and it's artfully made, and it's I don't know. I was very impressed with this film, and good to know that it's not one of these movies that's just completely ignored. Like it has some footing in the box office for whatever that means. Just some people are seeing it. That's nice to see. You don't usually get that with the more artsy stuff.
But I don't know. I'm sure it's doing really well internationally. It is in Spanish.
Right.
I don't think we mentioned, but it is in Spanish. I mean, we said Mexico and subtitles, but
To be fair, the best horror movie we saw this year probably was the Spanish one as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Different countries, but still got to do some reading. You want to see some good movies out there. Got to do
What's the
some reading.
Michelle Pfeiffer movie that tries to do this?
Oh, Dangerous Minds.
That's what it was.
with Coolio,
and the
song.
guy from Hackers.
There you go. Legendary film. So overall, Justine, would you say Radical is totally gnarly or a bummer, dude?
It's radical, dude.
I as well think it's totally radical. It's very radical. Dylan, what else are we watching this week?
Oh, well, Colin, we got the Holdovers. A curmudgeonly instructor at a New England prep school remains on campus during Christmas break to babysit a handful of students with nowhere to go.
Right.
He soon forms an unlikely bond with a brainy but damaged troublemaker, and with the school's head cook, a woman who just lost a son in the Vietnam War. Paul Giamatti as Paul Hunnam.
Sure.
Dominic Sessa as Angus. Divine Joy Rudolph as Mary Lamb. And directed by Alexander Payne, who also did Sideways with Paul Giamatti.
Brent, you're like super smitten with this one, right?
Yeah, I loved it. To the point where I tried to watch some older Alexander Payne movies that I missed and kind of abandoned that quickly. But yeah, this one was solid. I liked how stylized it was. Even like the pre-roll look, that it ran like the restricted sign and the classic, blue upper 2/3 and also like portion of the lower third. You know what I mean? That like that
Yes.
Queens of the Stone Age record. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, they're going for something here. I'm like, can they pull it off? And as it was unfurling, I was like, oh yeah, they absolutely can pull it off. And I think got to rewatch Sideways, but it felt like Giamatti's perhaps best performance. I'd have to rewatch some stuff to make that declarative.
Yeah,
but
that would be private parts that you need to rewatch.
Yeah.
oh, pig face.
Pig vomit.
Pig vomit. Yeah. See, yeah, I'd have to rewatch that and go A-B for sure because it's very similar role.
Shoot 'em up.
Shoot
Oh, he is in Shoot 'em Up.
Bro,
Yeah.
What the hell? Shoot 'em up.
I implore everyone listening to watch Shoot 'em up on Tubi. It is.
Okay. Sick.
It's like a post Crank action movie. It's a buddy of mine. He does a really good Paul Giamatti, and I've been trying to do a good Paul Giamatti, but I'm so bad at it. But I feel like my bad Paul Giamatti is funnier than a good Paul Giamatti. But his line from that movie is, "Well, fuck you, Mr. Hero."
I've seen that memed. I didn't know what it
Yeah,
was
it's from the
Okay.
movie Shoot 'em Up. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, I dug it. I think that I talked to a few people and they said, unlike It's a Wonderful Knife, some people have already told me that they're going to rewatch this every year around the holidays. They feel it's a good holiday film. Sets the tone, makes you appreciate things. I don't know. I was just thoroughly entertained. I bought into that world that they established right away, and they didn't really throw any curveballs in a bad way. I like the characters. I like the examination of the hierarchies within the school, within the friend groups. You kind of see the douchey characters kind of get their comeuppance, but not in like a really overplayed kind of way. I don't know. What did you think?
I think you're underselling like how stylized it is because this
Super.
is. I mean, I think the main selling point I would say is like that it's very much like a new Hollywood style film in terms of late '60s, early '70s. Every set piece, the performance, the style of editing, the film grain, all of that stuff. It's just such an homage to that era of filmmaking, and that's like I think for most people that like myself who don't really know movies, when we want to watch like a good movie, it's something like that, where it's, I
can throw this on.
I can understand what's going on here.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd really understand, I'll pretend to understand Metropolis, but I won't really. But you throw on fucking Deer Hunter and I'm like, I know what this is. So yeah, but it's very much so seems like a labor of love from someone who understands the gutty works of that stuff. I do feel that I kind of walked out like happy that they're giving me the thing I like, which is movies that look like this, right?
Okay.
And performances that are really good. Everything's great. I'm like, why isn't this sticking? And I think for me, it's kind of a bad script or a shallow script or a script that doesn't quite fulfill what a movie can do. This is only me having like a couple days to mull this over. Like if I didn't have that sense of what's missing here, I probably wouldn't put this kind of examination into it. But the characters didn't have arcs. No one changes from the beginning of the movie till the end of the movie. The characters, to the credit, are very likable immediately. Like I loved seeing, intellectual nerdy kid who wasn't like a pushover. Like he had some toughness to him and some balls, and he's fucking with other kids as much or more than he's being fucked with. That's nice to see them avoid the trope of the Holden Caulfield type.
Exactly.
So they did a great job there. But like, Paul Giamatti doesn't like his job in the beginning, and in the end, he doesn't like his job. And he doesn't quit of his own volition. So there's his situation technically is different.
Okay. I was trying to think of this, and there is a slight arc with the Giamatti character in that he starts off very pretentious, and like projects himself as a superior intellectual, but then it's revealed throughout the movie that he didn't even graduate college, and he's been faking his way through this entire thing. So he does come down a couple pegs to meet the troubled youth where he is. and it solidifies their bond a bit. Again, it's not a huge arc. You're right.
It's also not technically an arc because
Yeah.
it's not like that happens. It's just that the things that have pre-existed with these characters are just revealed to the audience ultimately and to each other.
Yeah.
It's not like something happens and he
doesn't change his life.
Yeah, he doesn't like kids, and at the end of the movie, he likes kids. It's not that dramatic.
Yeah.
He likes this one single kid a little bit more, and like when he makes this sacrifice for the kid to, he kind of falls on the sword so that the kid doesn't have to get kicked out of school. It doesn't really have an impact because even though he loves antiquity and all these intellectual pursuits, he doesn't like his job or the kids. He has a huge amount of resentment for his situation in life.
He didn't seem to give a fuck that he quit.
He did not quit. He got fired.
Or sorry, they got fired.
So against his own volition. So again, he's not really making a change. And so it's like the kid is static.
I guess it's more like he threw himself on a grenade. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
Yeah.
And I thought the maid had or the cook,
Yeah.
Mary, she had I think my favorite part in the movie, she has this kind of catharsis, not so much a catharsis, but at the party,
Yeah.
she just she's grieving the loss of her son. And you just see her standing in the kitchen and everyone that's like, at the school with her kind of like blocks off the kitchen. So it's just them in the room and she's just breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is like, that's a moment, that's like you're seeing a character have a catharsis. And ultimately, and I think to the film's credit, it doesn't end with her like, pairing off with a new partner or like, having some big grand reveal or anything, but she just gets to have this little moment, and moment-ish kind of happened with the other characters, but I didn't feel it in the same way that I felt hers. Now, my main gripe after kind of like dissecting this, because again, it's right there. This is like a well-made movie, a very well-crafted movie. I'm dazzled by the talent put into this for sure, craft-wise. But in terms of personally connecting with it, I think the movie is torn between being kind of a plot-driven movie with the kid trying to sneak out of school and figure out his dad's a lunatic and kind of come to terms with that, and also learn about his, the teacher, and like kind of just a cozy vibes movie. And they do both in equal parts. Hence, the movie's like 2.5 hours long.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel that's where I'm like, you didn't commit. You should have gone one or the other. Either you have a movie where it's just people cooped up and they're learning about each other, and a quick,
Breakfast
for
Club.
instance. Yes, perfect. Where nothing really happens and it's just cozy vibes and it's wintry. Or you have this movie, because if you were to have a movie where a kid is coming to terms with his father's mental illness and trying to figure out how he fits in with that, and versus his mom who's moved on, and so on and so forth, would you ever decide to make a 2-week Christmas break the backdrop of which to tell that story? I don't think you would. I think you maybe would get to a point where you're like, hey, we don't have anything happening in this movie. Let's inject some plot. And hence the third act feels very bloated. Yeah. And I kind of wish they just went with vibes. I think you just go with, I'm glad you brought up that Breakfast Club. That's a very apt idea of like what this could have been. And ultimately, I think it's kind of torn, and it's blowing people away right now. Like, it's critically acclaimed, certified great movie. I think with critics, I know for a fact, it's like, oh, they're making a movie that looks like the kind of movie I like. Good movie. And they're so fatigued with the bullshit of modern movies, and franchises and shit. There's like, finally, just a fucking movie about people. I don't care that it's bloated. I don't care that it's, ultimately bad script. I don't care. It's just something kind of like this. There's film grain. This is great. I love this. Give it a good review. And like, they're justified in doing that. I question longevity-wise, and this is the problem when you have beautiful performances and a beautiful looking film and just kind of a weak script. That's where the repeat viewings come into play, and I question everyone who's saying that they're going to see this again next year. Check in 2 years from now and tell me how many times you've seen this movie. I think it's going to be something in the vicinity of no more times. That's just a theory.
Entirely possible. I mean, because, everybody goes through this. There's like a record that you'll just play nonstop for months and months and months. And then a couple of years later, you're like, oh, yeah, I listened to that record a lot. I don't want to listen to it again. Like that. There's a potential for that for sure. And I think your point about it kind of being a respite from a lot of the trends,
Right.
That is powerful to the point where it makes you elated. It gives you,
Yeah.
a euphoria. You have your own catharsis watching the movie because you're like, okay, yeah, this feels good because it's a throwback to stuff I know I like. And, for me, that made it a vibe because I was just like, all right, I'm just going to hang out. I knew that it was 2.5 hours. So
Right.
I'm like, I'm just going to fucking hang out here for 2.5 hours. I kind of don't care what happens because so far they haven't screwed up that tone, that
Right.
vibe.
And
And
again,
appreciated that.
Like if you told me this movie cost $270 million,
I would've bought
I'd
it.
say, of course, all the different set pieces, those corduroy jackets, they're not cheap.
Yeah.
You got to dress everyone up. All the huge
Wes Anderson's
crowd
not letting
scenes,
those go.
bro. Huge crowd scenes. Everyone's done up to the nines of
Yeah.
the signage. It's like it's flexing. They are flexing in
Yeah.
this movie. How period correct they are. Not to belabor my point, but on the other hand, if you are watching like a John Cassavetes movie or something,
Right.
dialogue wise, you will hear some profundity, a point, I don't know, something that'll affect you and last. And like the lines are delivered great, they're acted well, but I don't think there's much substance to the words themselves. I don't know how much staying power this has in this
Something
regard.
about it made me approach this movie without needing that. That in that regard, it delivered.
Yeah, no. If I walked away stoked, I wouldn't think of any of this stuff. But I just walked away like, fucking, why would? It's just too long. That's all I'm really saying. Is it's too long for what it is.
It's too long, and they didn't decide what kind of movie it was going to be. I agree that the whole last third was like, is this the story you really were going
Yeah.
to tell in this movie? I don't think it is. I'm disappointed that nobody changes. There isn't anything learned. This movie itself doesn't let you feel anything because there's not like, yeah, that was profound, or that's true. They do have a conversation at some point where the guy is like, you're not your dad. Is that the point of the movie? I don't know. I don't feel like there was a point to the movie. And I'm okay with there not being a point to a movie. Like you said, if they're just like going to be at the school and then it ends up like at the end of their winter break, they kind of get along, They don't hate each other anymore.
Can you
That's fine.
accept the point of the movie as just simply having the characters have, for the most part, their auspices stripped away and to reveal who they truly are versus who they project themselves to be to the outside world?
Not really, because they don't
Okay.
have to do that with each other. Like they could just stay on different sides of the school.
I would argue as well. Again, I keep.
I'm stretching, by the way.
They don't choose to do that. Paul Giamatti doesn't reveal to the kid, hey, here's something I've never told anyone before. He's pushed into it by circumstance, like a true Deus Ex Machina running into an old classmate, which starts the ball rolling, of which he has to reveal his big secret. And the kid gets caught trying to sneak out to see his father and needs to have Paul Giamatti come along with him to do it. So it's not like they're choosing to share these things about each other, with each other. Circumstance pushes them into it. Like, I don't know, Harold and Maude I've seen brought up a couple times in comparison to this. Harold and Maude, by the way, 90 minutes. And that's obviously like the era they're going for. And I think maybe the dynamic they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
They don't end up fucking, just to spoil it for everyone.
Wow.
Paul Giamatti and the kid never.
Right.
So no stars for me. But, that's two people coming together of their own volition. This is all kind of circumstance. You know what I'm saying?
If you can recall it, A, B, sideways, because you got Giamatti and Alexander Payne. And if I recall, Giamatti's character does he evolve in that?
I don't know.
God, it's been so long.
Yeah, I know. I don't think there's any value in talking about a movie I remember as little as Sideways.
Did he write them?
I think he wrote Sideways. He didn't write this one. And, the guy who did write it, as I did look all this up just to kind of check myself. He's like a TV writer, and it's like, I guess if everything's returning to status quo, this is kind of that, except it's 2.5 fucking hours.
Yeah.
Whereas a snappy 20-minute sitcom would have all this shit resolved real quick.
I mean, if I was a fan of strobe lights and you showed me a strobe light for 2.5 hours, I'd be stoked, right? So like this vibe, apparently I really like this fucking vibe. So like to hang out with it for 2.5 hours, I was like, this is so much better than a lot of stuff that I have to subject myself to.
And again, I can't stress enough, as much as I'm shitting on it, like from the technical perspective that I'm talking about, like the way that actors are delivering, the way everything looks, the tone of it, everything is perfectly delivered. ultimately kind of feel like it's empty calories. It's style over substance.
This is you're in my seat for Skinamarink and I'm in yours.
It could be. Yeah, I don't.
'Cause, dude, I was vibing.
Yeah, I hate to belittle this because there was a
it's
lot of
fine,
great
yeah.
to it, but and you're Justine, you don't really care for like 70s boy movies
No.
like this.
Why would she?
American New Hollywood Revolution stuff.
It's so boring, and I try to be like, okay, you can watch different movies where where like there's stories about just different lives that people lead. Like what were we? She Came to Me.
Yes.
You mentioned, and I'm like, yeah, that's just about some like upper class, intellectual or
Right.
artistic types and their whatever problems they have. And this is like, oh, these kids are so rich they shouldn't have problems. Yeah, but their parents don't really care about them, or do they? Just that one kid.
Yeah.
Because that like the kid that his dad comes in a helicopter to take him and his friends skiing.
That
like,
dog, that dad was great.
it seems like everyone else is pretty okay. So this is just putting us into watching these two characters. I agree. The movie looks like it's supposed to look. It's acted well. The locations are what they're supposed to be. But those are locations that they didn't create. They
Right.
filmed at like different schools for the different rooms and then just put it together. And then the house scene, we see very few different settings.
Right. Well, not until they go to the Boston, yes. But there's still a diner and like the house and a hospital.
But they just filmed in places that still looked old.
It's
And that house that they were in, they were like, yeah, it had like the same like kitchen fixtures as it did back then. So that's kind of cool that they were able to use that real stuff. But I am just always kind of disappointed when there's a movie that it's like, yeah, I see what you were going for. You did a good job at that. But I wish that there had been some substance along with it, because I'm thinking about like, what are the movies that people are like, oh, I love movies like this. Do you? You like movies that look like this. But when was the last time you saw a movie that looked like this that wasn't good? Like all those movies that still remain that people laud for being great and looking so 70s.
They're the ones that are good enough to survive.
Exactly.
Right.
So were you watching the movie that didn't make any money? That
What
came
opened the
out?
same week as Serpico?
Exactly. That's kind of what I feel like this movie is. Seems like it was made at that time. It's made in the style of a movie that has longevity, but it's not actually one of those
Criterion never
movies.
tapped it on the shoulder.
Yeah,
for
I'm sure they
restoration.
will. But
Right.
Oh, they definitely
But
will.
I don't think they would if those previous movies did not exist. But one kind of a neat thing, how they they made all those new logos and stuff in the
Right.
beginning.
Yeah.
Miramax really liked the one that they made for this movie, so they've used it on a couple of other movies
no
already.
shit.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
like, this looks cool.
I read a gaffe on this movie. Apparently, on the basketball court they have a 3-point line, and that wasn't invented until
Yeah.
later. This is
I've changed my whole mind on this
Yeah, I know.
movie.
Fuck
This is some
that.
bullshit, man.
Idiots.
Fucking dummies.
okay. So holdovers. Are we going to stay at school for Christmas break, or are we going to go home and forget everything about this?
Which is the bad one?
I think stay. I think the bad one is going home. The good, it's a holdover. You want to stay there. But all of my gripes, I do think, even if you are the coldest soul like myself, I think if you like the new Hollywood 70s American movies, just the technical elements of this are going to get you in the door. I, have my problems with the film, but the good outweighs the bad. I'm still in, but I'm just not necessarily smitten with it. Is all. So if you it's a marvel from a technical perspective. I'll just say that and make it and leave.
I agree. I think it really depends on, do you have something to do on Christmas break or do you not? I think you can hold over. You can watch this if that's your thing. Again, if you are in it for the aesthetic or for the craft of making something look like it came from this time period. They have studied. And so
Made with love.
yes, yeah. So, the same way that I don't know, a picture you see painted in a hotel lobby is well done, but it doesn't really have an artistic quality to it. It's kind of how I
Jesus,
feel
that
about
is
this
so
movie.
much more mean than saying you just don't like it.
I'm not saying I don't like
She
it
said hold
because
it
I don't
over.
like it.
Listen, you have to be a good painter to have your stuff hanging in a dentist's office, you know?
I'm saying technically, and like in the style of other artists and stuff, you know, like artists, what are they called, apprentices and stuff. They had to like be able to do that.
It's true.
And I think that is well done. And I think again, if you like a landscape painting, then you're gonna enjoy, you know, whoever is painting it. I think it was well done. I think it's worth watching if you are, you know, if you want to see something that looks well done, but don't expect it to be like really great.
Yeah, hold it over. I'll die on the hill. This is my skinamarink. One thing I don't advise is trying to watch Downsizing right after it. It's not that very good. So if you're the type that gets high on the supply that this movie gives you, you don't need to chase the dragon much further than this movie. It's not there.
Dylan, what else we got?
Oh, well, Colin, we got Anatomy of a Fall. It's a French film. I wasn't able to catch it. I know you and Justine did. So tell me.
in?
Oh,
Okay.
you did too?
I'm in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Brent also saw it. Again,
Another
movie.
2 and something change hours. Yeah.
Another film I didn't catch, sadly. French film. This is what I gathered from the trailer that they keep showing in every single movie I've seen.
We're all sick of the marketing campaign that Anatomy of a
The
Fall is getting.
heavy marketing.
A woman is suspected of her husband's murder, and their blind son faces a moral dilemma as a sole witness. That's all I got.
Wow,
That's the
okay.
whole thing.
Oh, dude, you love this one. The
All right.
dog's name is Snoop.
Oh, and it features a dog named Snoop.
Yeah.
It has Sandra Huller as Sandra, Milo Machado Grader as Daniel. I guess that's son. Directed by Justine Triet. I looked at her page. I didn't know anything, but that's all I got for this film.
It's a courtroom movie. I'm such a mark for this kind of shit. I don't know.
It was good.
Courtroom movies are like easy mode. You're immediately like, did she do it? Is the truth going to come out? But there's still a level of craft you have to make it really good. I think I fell in love with courtroom movies. My mom made me watch To Kill a Mockingbird as a kid.
Perfect.
And that's like, man, they got me when I was young.
Gregory Peck.
Yeah, before I was even had to watch it in school. And then they give you the chaser, which is 12 Angry Men, and then it's fucking over. That's got to be the goated one, right?
It still is.
That's
yeah,
number
yeah,
one?
Yeah.
That's number one? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when we were watching Oppenheimer, I just kept going, 12 Angry Men, 12 Angry Men. It was like, it was driving me crazy for some dumb reason. I don't remember.
The craft on display here is marvelous. I think they really do a good job keeping the facts of the case somewhat ambiguous and kind of revealing more through the backdrop of the case. The kid, I feel like maybe the description is putting a little more onus on the kid than is in the movie, because he has to he's learning about their relationship as we, the viewers, are. And he has to figure out, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. He's trying to even though he is obviously there to defend his mom, he has to kind of look at it with a clear head.
Yeah, because he had a good relationship with his dad.
Yeah, and he's, I think at some point you, the viewer, are looking at him kind of getting swayed onto
Both ways,
damn, did my mom really kill my dad?
Yeah.
And so, you see his moral dilemma and wondering if he should fudge the numbers a little bit to make it look one way or the other.
Yeah, because the trial essentially comes down to him.
It's also the real deal of what are your memories? And it's very
That's what got me too, yeah.
difficult. That's just a very complicated. It's a complicated philosophical question when you're trying to remember what you ate or what someone said. Inconsequential things. When you're talking about literal life or death situation of a murder trial, it's interesting. And god damn, did that kid perform? Another great week for the under 20-year-olds actors. Man, kids fucking killing it right now. But not short by any means. It is a longer movie, but didn't waste any time, I don't feel. It was all kind of necessary to build the tension and to kind of get you reeled in. I was sucked in. I was in on this one, man. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, coming out of the theater, I was like, oh yeah, that's why these TV shows and stuff like Law and Order are so popular. It is a long movie. I was pleased that I didn't feel like it was very long, because enough of it is of the trial itself that's really fast paced, and you get to feel like angry at some people in it and like confused and questioning things. So you're just kind of along for the ride. And again, it doesn't waste any time during that. It's all very quick. And as you're learning stuff about it, you still don't get to have the satisfaction, I guess, of anything being tied up. You just have to think about it like an actual trial where you just kind of have to take the evidence that you have and decide, but you don't get to know like you do in like shows or movies that they're like, and that's what happened, you know?
Well, the lady says a great thing in it, which is maybe just a statement on the justice system in general. She's like, you know, you're fighting, but if you fight and you win, it's a good thing. And if you lose, of course, it's a bad thing. But I've won, but I don't get anything. You know, my husband's still dead. I've lost a year of my life to this trial for being falsely accused of something. I've only like retained my freedom. That's not a win.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, yeah, I guess that is kind of a dark ending. And it's told, I think, more from her perspective. I think the way you make this kind of movie maybe a little cornier, but also a little more satisfying as a viewer is if you have it be like a lawyer's perspective who's like, I'm going to fight for you, and no, you can't do this. And it's all the lawyer's thing. And then the lawyer wins, and you're like, yay, he won the case. But this is her. And she's like, yeah, I won, but I lost a fucking year of my life, and my husband's still dead. and my kid.
She's like a writer.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad for her.
And my kid thinks
stuff.
maybe I'm a murderer, and everyone else also thinks maybe I'm a murderer.
And your life is on blast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Throughout the whole thing. It's just like, oh, and this happened. She's a cheater. You know, this went down.
Yeah. You learn a lot about her life. It's messy. It's also just a great, I don't know, insight into the just messiness of adult relationships and all that. But, you know, in the hands of a less skilled director, all this shit would not be that interesting. But again, just the craft, the performances, all of that comes together for just something that's just a delightful watch.
This one, you shouldn't sweat the runtime, because if you've enjoyed or watched trials in real life, like televised trials, you're invested for days, sometimes months.
Right.
So this just blows by. And then if your YouTube algorithm has been pumping you 48 hours episodes nonstop and you've been watching them, this will blow your mind. Because it's so much, it's made better, and it's intended to be made better than just like disposable weekly television. So yeah, it came at a good time in my life after I've been watching just trash, you know, about trashy people.
It's cool too, because you see the French justice system, and you see this little bald fucker in
Yeah.
robes just be a total prick.
Santa.
His version of the prosecutor. I can't believe people are fighting for their lives in French court, and they're getting sentenced by people dressed like a nativity scene. It's ridiculous to watch, but you know, again, it's just a fun thrill ride with a little bit of craft to it.
$2 million to make, $14 million so far at the box office.
$2 million? I don't understand what money is. How?
Well, again, how many places was that? The chalet and the courtroom.
Yeah.
They eat at a restaurant.
We saw Freelance took place in a jungle. It was all outside,
No,
and that
that was
cost
on a
like
green
20 or 40
screen.
million.
Green screen. That costs a lot.
Over 1 million French people have gone to see this movie.
There you go. If it's good enough for them, it's going to be good
They
enough
just
for you.
support them. So. But she was saying, the director, she was like, I feel like people didn't want me in French cinema. And then she made this and was like, oh my God. And that was another thing. There's that 50 Cent song. There's a prominent 50 Cent song, a rendition with steel drums.
Just the instrumental of PIMP.
Yeah, by a German group. And I guess that the story is she originally wanted Jolene, the Dolly Parton song.
Okay.
But she was like, it ended up being great because I was too on the nose, especially for like American
Right.
viewers. And she was like, this song just happened to be in my playlist for months. And I was all, what about this one? But they couldn't afford it. And then they're like, what about this version? It's like, yeah, okay. So they did. And it ended up being way funnier and way more effective because you do get that kind of grating quality.
Yeah.
And just it being a nuisance is way better than it being, you know, sappy or anything.
Yeah, the guy who dies, who's their murder they're investigating, he was just blasting this song at full volume, and it scared off one of her guests. Yeah. So, you know, you hear the song in the movie really loud while it's happening, and then whenever they replay it, they just find
to prove that like the son couldn't have possibly heard the
they
conversation.
find so many excuses to replay this steel drum band cover of 50 Cent's PIMP.
It's so unsettling.
They bring it up in the trial. This is a song with misogynistic lyrics. No, objection. It was the instrumental version. Like,
It's what's crazy is, a lot of times I try not to watch the previews before the movies at this point because I like to be surprised when we have to watch every movie. So I was looking at just memes, and right before this movie started, the last meme I saw was like this 50 Cent. It was like a video of him being suspended above his own concert, and something's wrong with the wires, and the caption just said 50 Cent doesn't have a single song that warrants this. And then when that busted out, it made it way funnier for me. I was dying.
so do we pronounce this one le guilty or le innocent? I'm going to say this one is le innocent.
Oh, okay.
You should watch this film. It's a foreign one, but it's not too snooty. It's not up its own rear end. It's watchable. It's good.
Yes, it's innocent.
Yes. Say it with a French accent, please. Le innocent. Okay, that was a good one.
Thanks. It is really good. It is like the opposite of the Holdovers, where it's like somebody was on paper writing this movie, and
Hater.
so much script,
Right.
amazingly done.
Yeah.
Really, the acting is incredible. I was so impressed because, again, with all this script, everybody just kind of delivering. Vincent is the lawyer, the lady's lawyer.
Looks like a fox.
He looks like a fox. Yeah, everybody's just really good. The kid is impressive. The woman is captivating, but not necessarily likable, which is a hard thing to do in a movie. And yeah, it's not like showy. It's just really good. And that's all.
Let me tell you this, Dylan. If this movie was a female skunk, I'm Pepe Le Pew. I love this thing. I think you should see it at some point in your life.
Hallelujah. It's the last movie. What are we watching, Dylan?
Journey to Bethlehem. Classic Christmas melodies and modern pop songs tell the story of a young woman with an unimaginable responsibility, a young man torn between love and honor, and a jealous king. Fiona Paloma as the Mary, Milo Manheim as Joseph, Antonio Banderas as King Herod, and this movie was directed by Adam Anders, a Swedish man.
Joseph has to choose between love and what now?
Honor.
Honor. That's biblical spelling.
Yeah, Honour.
Yes. Somehow none of you blasphemers wanted to watch this movie with me and Dylan.
I forgot that it was showing.
You don't like to watch musical versions of...
It's actually really fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's actually legit sick.
Yeah, like it wasn't even like biblical. It was just straight up like praising.
Bible fan fiction?
Kinda. You think Muse existed?
Oh, like, yeah,
In
there's
BC?
like, when he says modern pop music, there is like, I implore everyone listening to take a pause on this, or maybe you could switch over to different platforms. I don't know what you're listening to this on, and cue up Antonio Banderas as King Herod singing "It's so stinking good to be king," and hear like the sickest Marilyn Manson "Beautiful People" kind of like take on King Herod singing about how cool it is to be in charge. It's Antonio Banderas doing it. It's fucking sick. I think my favorite, the Muse song is his son.
Yeah, but I
like,
realized what the song reminded me of.
What's that?
Believer by Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, it's very
I was like, I was trying to think about it
yeah,
the whole
drum beat.
time. So sick.
his
Stomp
son
clap.
sings.
Is that what they call
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Dude, it's so sick. I don't, a lot of liberties being taken from the original source material. Like,
Oh, go ahead and can you recite what it said at the very end?
oh, they're like, we changed some things, but this is pretty much how it was.
Yeah.
Like a title screen comes up.
The actual
You expect, based on a true story in the beginning, but in the end, again, like in Radical that we watched, that it was a true story. They're like, hey, by the way, here's the cover that this girl appeared on, and here's what this kid went on to do. And
Here's empirical proof.
Yeah.
This checks out.
this one was like, we embellished a little bit, but this is basically what happened.
Fucking deal with
Yeah, I
it.
wonder what they meant. Like the songs, like they weren't really dancing back then.
Well,
like that.
there's a lot of different interpretations of the Bible, like translations,
Yes.
like I don't know, King James
Yep.
and all that. There's Apocrypha. It's probably in the Apocrypha where there's a black-robed version of Joseph and a white-robed version of Joseph, and the Virgin Mary in the center of them, like.
In a red robe.
Yeah, and one of them's like saying, she's a tramp. She got knocked up by someone else. And the other version of him is like, nah, she's legit. Everything she's saying is for real. Gabriel talked to her. She's legit. And they just kind of have like a fist fight over a kind of Muse-sounding song. And then I think that's in the Apocrypha. And then eventually the white robe guy punches the black robe guy out. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I'll go along with this.
Where's Joseph at this time?
Joseph,
you're just
it's
seeing
in his mind.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's
this
It
just
is a
the battle
dream
and the-
sequence.
I
Yeah.
see.
Because what's her name? Mary starts talking to him like, believe her, but in Gabriel's voice. So
Yeah.
she's like looking right in the camera, believe her, she's telling the truth. And then he wakes up and like, what the fuck?
It's so sick. There's when the angel Gabriel first appears, played by R&B singer Lecrae. He's like in her hovel where Mary lives.
Yeah.
This is before the fame, so she was like humble beginnings. It's like where Charlie sleeps in the Willy Wonka house, a bunch of beds and stuff. Anyways, he comes down and like a light classic angel stuff, but then he's like muttering over in his head like, okay, I'll tell her like you're the chosen one. No, that sounds too direct. Hey Mary, we've decided that no, not like that. Like he's fumbling, he's trying to like get the script straight, and then he's like, okay, I got it. And then he elevates up, and then moves forward and bonks his head on like a beam. This happens in the Bible,
was
and they
insane.
are bringing this to the screen.
Yeah. And then he tries to wake her up like, Mary, Mary. And then she wakes up. She's like, what the fuck? He's like, well, God chose you to be the chosen one to carry his birth-given son.
I'm so mad. That's like a big deal in the Bible where it's like, hey, I'm pregnant and I know what this sounds like, but bear with me here. And he's got to kind of be like, fuck, really? All right. And it's sort of like a testament to Joseph's faith. It's the whole thing, right? But watching this movie, I'm like, wait a second. Why didn't the angel just tell them both? Just be like, hey, before it happens, because in the movie eventually he tells Joseph, he's like, oh, hey, that chick's legit, dude. Don't even trip. But why not before it happens say, hey, I know you're married. Hear me out. She's going to get this thing. It's going to be a mess. Don't worry about it. There's a plan for it. Why wouldn't he just tell them both?
He wasn't there though. Like he wasn't where she was when she got told, right?
No,
So
but the angel,
he's unnecessary, really.
could've-
He's helpful to her, but
it'd be helpful to him too to help the situation along. It's just mean. And besides, it's not like, oh, we only can choose one. It's
Well,
like
they
you're
weren't-
an
they
angel.
didn't-
You have infinite power.
They didn't plan on having to tell him.
yeah,
They
they
were
didn't
like,
get cleared for that.
they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean she got married?
Again,
Oh,
just
yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know. They didn't plan for that to happen. Like, shit. All right, well.
it's Old Testament, right? Because I know it's like the start of the new
There's
one.
no Jesus in the Old Testament.
Yeah, I know, but there's no Jesus in this yet until he gets born.
Oh, that's like Matthew. It's
So
New
this
Testament.
is New Testament. So God's just still just has that Old Testament quality. Still, he's shaking off. God's story arc, character arc hasn't like rolled over yet. He's still got that like kill your kid, Saik. He's still that God. He's still that guy.
For some reason, as you were saying that, did he start beatboxing after that or anything like
No.
that? It sounds like a very musical.
It is. It's
Yeah.
like there's like a lot of music. I implore again anyone to just look up the songs on YouTube because there's a lot of music videos
Okay.
and they're fucking sick.
Is there dancing?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
so much, bro. They got these like I don't know how this is gonna sound. Listen, when there's just what are the kids called these days? Zestiness. When the backup dancers are like kind of zesty.
Oh, yeah,
but they're
yeah,
like
yeah.
dressed up as Roman guards. But then they start doing like choreographed
Hell
dance.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was fucking badass, honestly.
Yeah.
This is like you guys got to see the Magic Flute last year,
Yes.
and then you get to see this one this year.
Magic Flute was goated. Magic Flute was way
And I
better
think
than this.
Wasn't that this year still?
Was it?
Yeah, it was
possibly.
this year. It was like
Yeah.
February.
It was
or something.
earlier.
okay.
Yeah.
Magic Flute was better than this, but this does, reinforce the idea that musicals are the weirdest kind of movies. Like people just break, and the more serious they take it, the more weird it gets.
Cats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
musicals are sick.
She's
Yeah.
just saying that you two are way more cultured than
Yeah,
we
of
are at
course.
this point. However, Justine did walk away with some collateral from the movie
Yeah.
in the form of a word search. I'm wondering, did you take a look at that or maybe give
Yeah,
it
of
give it a
course.
shot?
There's a free activity sheet.
Yeah.
If you happen to have a movie theater that has one of those big cardboard things in the halls, there's like a word search. There's a little quiz.
Yeah.
A mini quiz to see if you
Right.
were paying attention during the movie.
There's-
Colin was not.
There's questions on the worksheet that aren't in the movie. They say what books in the Bible does this tell, and it's like they don't fucking say.
If they did, they were singing it, and you don't really know.
Right?
What
It's
they're saying.
not like it
Yeah,
opens
right.
up like Acts
It was mumble
1,
rap.
2, or
It
whatever.
would be really funny if the characters in the story were telling you what books of the Bible.
That's so
Well,
tight.
you could have like a little Jiminy Cricket character who's like,
Oh,
boy,
okay.
Joseph's really in a rut this time. I wonder how he's going to get out. For more information, see Acts 1, 2. What book is it that Jesus gets born in? Like Genesis is the world getting born, and then there's all those other ones, Job and all that. But like you'd think the one where the mangers, with all this talk of the mangers, bro, the lamb shows up. You know the lamb and all the manger
The
scenes.
lamb?
He just shows up for no reason in the middle of the desert.
Oh,
No,
you were
it
saying something
showed-
about the wise men that I was bothered by. What was it?
Oh, they're like bungling, kind
Oh,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, they're like Three Stooges.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
bring up the
They're
hack.
just book smart. You
Well,
know?
they bring up all the hacky stuff about like, myrrh is great. Everyone knows myrrh sucks, and like the myrrh guy is like hyping up the myrrh really hard.
Yeah.
They're the comic relief. They're like the Pumbaa and Timon of the film, except there's 3 of them. So I don't know. So the story where Jesus gets born,
It's Matthew.
Matthew,
It's like,
Wait.
they reference it in different places, but it's Matthew.
Matthew, who is not a main character in that arc. That's ridiculous.
I'm just,
I take
all
edit.
of these
editor?
books though were always written like after,
Why wouldn't they
like
call
other
it
people.
like Jesus? What
the
part
book
1?
of Jesus, because
book
it's
of Christ.
the book that Matthew wrote. Is why it's called Matthew. It's not
Come
the
on
book
now.
that's about
Well,
Matthew.
Genesis didn't write nothing except for a couple great albums, but
Yeah, go back a couple of albums.
Exodus, that's a banger.
Yeah, see,
Someone
that's
should do a movie of that.
never been done before. Make a musical out of it though.
That is sick that like those stories like peaked back then. Like Exodus, like there'll never be another Exodus movie as good as the Charlton Heston one. Like period. It's crazy.
It's true.
They didn't have any technology, they didn't have any CG. They figured out how to tell these stories, like the definitive versions.
Did anybody look up the budget for this?
$270 million.
220 million
Shut the
to
fuck
produce
up.
and roughly 100 million to promote. Do you know what it grossed?
500 mil.
2 million.
This movie cost $210 million.
220 million plus 100 million in promo.
The promo part, I'll believe. They
Promo
have been-
definitely, I believe,
They have been
yeah.
hyping this, but like, that's lunacy.
That really is crazy.
It's just singing and dancing in a
And you
desert.
don't have to buy like the rights to this.
And I'm not fucking stupid. This is like East County. This is in Burbank. This is a weekend at Joshua Tree.
And these people are nobody, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Except for Antonio Banderas. He's
Yeah,
the
it's true.
only face.
he cost $200 million, I guess.
Yeah, I think he ate much of the budget.
The Anders guys, all the guys whose names start with A that wrote the music to it, they did write a whole ass score. But yeah,
Mark Mothersbaugh does that every day.
well, he leans on some keyboards. They got to be like, "Hi, I'm Joseph, and I'm so confused. I don't know what to do
Right.
about this." They have to write like songs,
Were the songs? How were the songs?
bangers.
Yeah, I
Really?
would say like once it started, like Mary starts talking, I'm scary to get married and my name is Mary. And I'm like, yo, this is fucking sick. I was like, yo, they're trying so hard. This is so awesome.
Yeah, it's
I was
like
happy.
like has that like Rocky Horror energy where it's like, I don't know if I want to get married, Mary. It's kind of scary, Mary.
Breaking news. The person that wrote that article,
Yeah.
it was debunked. It only cost $6 million.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
why they're kayfabing that. Sounds like nonsense. And it's one of those, again, the real movies. Again, fuck all this French subtitle bullshit. Fuck your film grain. Real movies have QR codes that come on at the credits.
Yeah.
And you can scan
Hell
them
yeah.
and you can give the gift of cinema to friends. Where was that in your precious holdovers? Where was that in your precious Anatomy of a Fall?
The Marvels had a you can take away a ticket from somebody QR code.
That Anatomy of a Fall, did not mention, is not actually entirely in French. It's
Right.
a French movie
No,
that's
yeah.
mostly in English.
Yeah, there's even making it even easier for you.
Yeah, you don't actually have to read much.
And this movie is not in Bible talk. It's in
Yeah, it's all in English, and there's like, it's not like modern slang or anything, but the fact that King Herod says it's stinking good to be king. It's so stinking good to be king. What did
Yeah.
he say?
Yeah, you're saying like it's a
he's
joke,
like-
but that is literally
that's
what
like
he says.
that's like the line of the chorus. It's like, it's so stinking good to be king. Like, hell yeah, stinking, awesome.
Is this rated PG?
Damn near X.
Yeah,
Oh, dang.
Hard.
They had to really dial back.
NC-17.
Yikes.
Yeah.
How much of the... I'm just wondering, like,
Tickets?
do you feel like there was, like, story or backstory, or is it really just, here's Mary, she's pregnant, Joseph's okay with it now,
Well,
then it gets born?
it is kind of weird because there's like Gabriel shows up, and this is the side plot I don't understand. Because again, I cannot stress enough, Antonio Banderas loves being king, and so somehow he's like, hey, Gabriel. He catches wind that there's a new king. This king, the King of all Jews. And he's like, he catches wind of this. He's like, what? Not on my watch. Kill every pregnant woman. And his kid has to be like, dude, don't know, stupid. We'll try to catch her or something. And so Mary's kind of on the run because they're looking for pregnant ladies because the king doesn't want the new king in town to be born. And hence they have to hide in the manger and secret themselves away. But there's something about her aunt being really old and knocked up, and Gabriel's like, this is another miracle I can do. And that's like a plot point. She has to like go and find her. The journey from where she is to Bethlehem is like hiding out at her house for a while with Joseph. It's a little, again, I'm not a biblical scholar
Yeah.
yet.
yeah.
This is
I'm not going to
gateway
pretend
drug.
to be smart. Everything I know about the Bible is in the devil conspiracy.
Right.
So, question for you: did our boy Michael show up?
No, all Gabriel.
Oh.
Well, actually,
Yes.
there's a scene. So once Jesus is born, you've heard the light that the wise men follow, right? The light
No.
is apparently
A UFO.
better. It's
Oh,
a
I heard that.
giant ass Gabriel in the sky.
Oh.
And he brings out a squad, like 8 other, those Avengers scenes where they all like show off for the camera? It's like that, but they're all angels. They're in the background though. The R&B singer Lecrae is in the foreground as Gabriel, and they're on the background. So probably one of them is Michael, but again, that's one of those
That's not
like
Michael's job.
that's like Easter egg shit. You gotta like locate which one it is.
But
yeah,
they at least set the table so that he'll get his own movie.
it's true.
No,
They're just
he's the war one. Gabriel's the messenger. That's why he's there.
well, there's still a bunch of angels in the sky that back up Gabriel, and it's like huge light. And it's, again, it's weird because they're trying to like hide. Mary is trying to hide.
It's a star. Who's gonna?
No, it's not a star. It's a giant man.
It's a giant man
It's
angel.
a giant man in the sky,
But, I mean,
illuminated.
like, people would just look at it and be like, "Oh, it's a star."
Not if they were. She's in the main. They knock on the mangers. They're like, "Hey, is there any room in the inn?" No, there's no room in the inn. Classic stories. Inns, multiple, being sold out of no vacancy suggests that it's a bustling place, and that's what it looks like. This is a village. Like back then, if you had a village, Jesus, you're doing all right for yourself.
Or that if they noticed she was pregnant, they didn't want her to be there.
I'm just saying it's an inhabited population,
Right.
and this woman has just given birth illegally, and a giant man appears right above where she is, blasting the sky with angel energy. It's not. I don't know how he's helping her, but the wise men eventually get to her and they give her the gifts and they make jokes about how shitty they are.
And they also show us the origin of Silent Night
Yeah.
during that scene.
Whoa! Yeah, this like once Jesus gets born, this like kid who you've never seen before in the movie starts singing Silent Night. You're like, yo, they're bringing out the bangers, and sings the whole thing. It's fucking sick.
He was freestyling Silent Night.
Oh, he wasn't. He was sticky. He was a very traditional singing of Silent Night. But
No, but what I'm saying is, like, in the context of the
Yeah, he
story,
was inventing it,
It was
I
just
think.
off the dome.
I don't know if
she
that's
just started singing it.
How old? I'm gonna find out how old Silent Night is.
It's very new.
Well,
I
not
know.
according to my Bible.
Not in the BCU, the Biblical Cinematic Universe.
So,
All those scenes where Antonio Banderas is like trying to sleep, and then
Yeah.
like this like wind of stars and energy like was
Right.
waking him up. Did you assume? Because I thought. Did you like think the devil was going to just
Yes.
show up? Yeah. See,
I was
all right.
so ready for that.
That was the one thing this movie was missing. Was
Yeah.
just a Lucifer like just popping up. Antonio,
Buff.
King Herod,
yeah,
kill the babies.
like a dude. Yeah, like the devil from Legend like shows
Yeah,
up,
exactly.
and
Tim
he's
Curry.
like, dude.
Encourage.
They're moving.
Yeah.
They're making movements. They're coming to Bethlehem.
But they never
They're
do that.
journeying. I know.
Yeah, he just sits in a scary ass throne like a lot.
Yeah, he's just stressed out.
Yeah.
He's really unnecessary in the movie, but the movie would also fucking suck if he wasn't in it.
Yeah,
So
because you
I don't know what
needed
to
him
tell
with
you.
that. He had the best song. I'll give him
Yes,
that.
banger.
Yeah, best song. Just threatening to kill his own like civilians in his like kingdom. So sick.
Is he actually like used a lot?
Yes.
Because you know how they're like, and Antonio
Yeah.
Banderas.
No, he's up in it.
Okay.
He's up in it
It-
for sure.
Though it feels like 2 days worth of shooting.
Yeah, but
one day specifically to do the song, and then the other day is just to hang out in this room.
his kid is definitely gets more screen time. But
Yeah,
I don't know, Dylan.
yeah.
Let's break it down to the people. Are you going to convert, or are you going to be a heathen and not watch this film?
I think I'm converted.
You're past tense.
Yeah,
That's sick.
this movie like got me. I understood it, and
it
I learned a lot.
It understood you.
I learned more. What did you?
Oh,
do?
I'm what it's Saul gets turned to Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, baby. I was Saul, and then I was at the road of Damascus, and then this
Blinded
movie
by
was
the light
playing.
of Gabriel.
Yeah, and I'm Paul. Yeah, this is I love me some unhinged musicals, and I love me some unhinged Bible movies. You're gonna have an unhinged Bible musical? This is fucking psychotic. There is not another film like this you're going to see probably ever. It's legit kind of fun. It's very legit weird. You can't help but smile watching this goofy, weird, very odd film. So I'll give it I'll say it made a believer out of me. I'll say that much. Dylan, it's time that you tell the people what we're watching next. I can't believe we watched 6 movies this week.
Unlimited.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited. This week we got the long-awaited sequel to the Trolls series, Trolls Band Together. It looks sick, and honestly, I cannot wait for it. Then we got a spin-off of the beloved series, The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. Will you play the game? I will. I can't wait to watch this one. Next Goal Wins, the new Michael Fassbender film that looks really good, and I can't wait to see it. We also got another seasonal slasher of the year, Thanksgiving. Remember that from the other movie? Yeah? Anyway, it looks sick, and I can't wait to see it. That's all for this week, guys. We'll see you at the theaters. Bye!